Hey there guys, Mason here, Cardinal Gaming. Thanks for watching one of my videos here, kind of in that weird in-between spot between Christmas and New Year's where it's kind of like a dead week. A lot of people are still vacationing and have a lot of stuff going on, still traveling maybe, seeing family, so kind of a slower week, but that's okay. Got something I wanted to do, it's kind of like a follow-up to the recent video I did about buying singles, particularly going to a card shop like mine and picking out some singles and things there when there's not a lot of sealed product to go around right now, and especially from sets that maybe you want some good cards from and you want to pick up in good condition, but really you just can't find the packs to bust them yourself. So obviously you got to go elsewhere, and where else better than your local card store, instead of going to a TCG Player and eBay and where pictures are terrible and you can't see it in person. Coming to a card store, you can look at all that in person and make a decision right then and there. So I had some feedback on that video. A lot of people made some great comments in that. Appreciate everybody that did that. It's really cool. But some questions that came up about people asking me was like, well, if you have all these great condition cards, why aren't you sending them off and grading them yourself? Why would you sell them to me so that I can go and grade them? It's a valid question, and that's just where the business side of things kind of is different from a collector's perspective or an investing even perspective. Obviously, when I buy things, I am investing in them, but I have money tied up in them, so it's kind of different for me as a business to make that sort of decision to grade something or to hold on to it and hope to sell it in store. It's got to be worth my time. So the first thing that really is what goes into my consideration, I've never graded a card that I've gotten in store to sell. Obviously, the graded market wasn't as aggressive as it has been recently. Of course, it is slowing down here now. But the thing about the graded market is that it has to be that card, whatever grade it gets, has to be worth the time that I have money into that item. So say I buy a card for $100, and if I go get this card graded and it gets an 8, it could be $300. It's pretty good. Why wouldn't I do that? It costs what, $30 to go grade a card now, depending on what tier you go to. But obviously, with my capital, how it's built, for my money that I have to spend on inventory, I have to go and have that money make more money, basically. So I have to keep this revolving capital, this cash flow is what it's called in a business term. When I sell an item, I take that money and then I go and buy the next things with that, and then keep flipping that money over and over. So when I go and think about grading a card, it has to be worth the time that I don't have that money, where I could be flipping it otherwise. And that return has to be there. And especially with the delays that grading is having right now, and a lot of time it's just not worth the time, and that money is better spent out of that card and into something else that I could then sell and then move on to something else and sell that again. So if I had that $100 card and it's worth $300 graded, I could take that $100 and flip it 3 more times, and then it'd be better than the time that I waited for that card to come back and be graded. So that's something that is really important. It's just how much time it takes to have graded stuff, and even if there wasn't a lot of time, just the hassle and the extra grading, the uncertainty that what a card will grade. If it is not a 9 or a 10, if it gets like a 7, that's a huge price difference, for a majority of cards. So that's the kind of thing that you got to really think about, and I would have to be in a really weird position to say, yes, I want to get this graded. It'd have to be something truly rare and special that is in awesome shape. Even when I had that first edition base set Charizard in, I paid pretty good on it, and I was gonna get that graded when the hype was all around there, but I looked at the wait time. I was like, well, it's gonna take, even if I express it, it could be 2, 3, 4 months. but then I had somebody come in and offer, $11,000 on that card. It could have got anywhere between like a 4 to a 6 is what I basically graded it at. And a card like that is going for, even now I think, is like 15,000 if it was a 7 or a 6. So you kind of got to go, well, do I want that money now and then have that money going into the holidays and be able to buy more product inventory and keep that rolling, or do I want to grade this card and get the maximum value out of it? So there's a balance you got to think about. I did end up selling it, by the way, so before I graded it. So I think it was ultimately the better decision because that $11,000 was put to good use, buying all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, that's was a good move, I think, on my part, especially with the current trend in the market. Here, not even at the end of the year, and still, tapering off, slowing down. So, yeah, that's what you got to think about, is just the amount of cash flow, and especially when you own a buy, sell, trade business like me. I'm a nerd pawn shop. I got to have that money when an awesome piece comes in. I win those first edition Charizards, win those first edition Jungle booster boxes come in. I got to have that money on hand to be able to facilitate that purchase, so I can go and make those big deals. If I don't have that money on hand and it's tied up in products that I'm investing in, and is sitting there and is at PSA for 6 months, that's just money that's not being able to be used. So that's really the whole point of what keeping that money moving. That's the whole goal, is what you want to do, is just keep that money moving. Another thing to think about with graded cards is that the buyer pool for that kind of stuff gets smaller. You would think that people would be fighting over a highly graded card, but the kind of people that are coming into my store are not necessarily those people that are looking for graded cards and are willing to spend hundreds and potentially thousands of dollars on this graded stuff. It just doesn't happen. That money is better spent on the smaller stuff in my store, where they could buy a handful of things for $50 a piece, than for a PSA 8 of something for $250, $300. So that's the other thing, that the appeal in the market isn't there for those type of items. And even if you go and I put them online, or on eBay or whatever, there's no guarantee in what and how fast that card is going to move. Whereas if it's out and it's raw, I can put it on eBay, and the buyer pool is going to be much larger for people that want to put it in a binder and not necessarily want it slabbed, or people that are speculating on a card and they think they can go and grade it and get a better score on it. There's a lot of more buyers for a raw card than there is a graded card, especially from a store like me. So that's one of the things that. Another thing you think about is, how fast can I move this card if I did go get it graded? How long am I going to have to sit on it to have it in my store? That's the kind of thing that you really got to think about. So I guess the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that, going into a card store and thinking that you're not going to find anything good, or something that's not worth grading or even in good condition, is kind of it's kind of like a false truth that a lot of people think is out there. It's almost like a conspiracy, where well, obviously they're in it to make money, they're going to make the most money possible. Well, it's not always the truth. It's not always the case, where there's plenty of opportunity to be made off the cards that I have in my cases, if people want to go out and get them graded. And if somebody wants to sit on a card and they think it's going to do well in the next 6 months, picking up a card in my store is not a bad idea. So there's plenty of good options for people that walk in, or even if you see a card that you want on our website, and it's graded pretty highly, we say it's near mint or lightly played, and you think it's a good card to just speculate on, sure, why not pick it up? And when you're in store, like I said, you can look at it yourself, check the centerings, check the conditions like that, make sure it's not a boat like this poor little Machamp here. He's got some curvature to him. Again, I could put this on my website, and because when you think about modern cards and playability, a curved card isn't necessarily an outlying candidate to make it a you know, a lightly played, moderate play, or damaged. You know, I could put this card because it looks good, it doesn't have any scratches or issues, no bends, or damage to the surface. It could be, you know, a moderately played or a light played card, and you wouldn't know. So, which we make a point not to do that, obviously. But there are places out there that consider curves and like WotC hollows to not be a disqualifier for you know, being near mint or light played. It's just the truth. I've seen and I have bought cards that came in those conditions that looked just like this Machamp did, in a little bow like that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, guys. So I guess that's just the point that I wanted to follow up and make sure that people are aware that, you know, yes, I'm a store, I'm making money, but I want to sell to you as a buyer. I want you to get good products. I want you to be spending the most money possible on a good quality card, because that makes you happy, that makes me happy, and that keeps you coming back when you see that I have good stuff. So that's the kind of idea behind that kind of stuff, guys. Hopefully that clears things up and maybe makes it more simple to understand about why and how card stores do what they do, and don't necessarily grade cards. So appreciate you guys watching the video. Like I said, make sure you like or dislike, you know, if you don't agree with me. Make a comment down below, or if you agree with me, just say, hey, how you doing, Mason? Happy New Year, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching the videos. Make sure you subscribe for me, please. Thanks, guys. Catch you in the next one.